Two dudes, one VHS. Rewind the time, no need to guess. Pop it in, press play, don't stress. It's a movie night, pure retro mess. Old tapes, big last memories flash. We're kicking it back when classics last. So grab some snacks and don't you fret. Two dudes, one VHS.
Welcome back, guys. You're me, Roma.
And Booby, it's me, the White Knight. No, it's Alex.
You guys are now watching Two Dudes, One VHS, and today we are starting our Christmas special.
Hopefully you guys all checked out our pre-watch last week.
And
Now we're-
today's movie will be, obvious if you watched it before, it's Die Hard, the best Christmas movie ever.
Yeah, so we're polishing off our submachine guns. We're getting the Christmas trees up too, though, because it's a Christmas movie.
That's right. Right off the bat, you hear the Christmas music right at the beginning, opening credits of the movie, so you know it's a good Christmas movie when they have the Christmas songs.
You know what? And throughout the movie, I noticed on this rewatch, people humming, singing Christmas carols.
Yep.
Even John McClane at one point was whistling away a Christmas song.
Yep.
Can it get more Christmas than that, really?
No, you can't. You can't. Especially, like a Christmas party, like I'd like to go to that kind of Christmas party, though, all the champagne, the beer.
That party was nuts.
The snow on the table and in the air, yes.
Yes, we'll get into that, I'm sure.
So This one's going to be a little bit different. Alex was taking the reins from the other two that we've done so far. I am taking the reins for this one. I'm not going to lie, like my script is on the side of the screen in the monitor right now, so you guys are going to see my eyes floating all over the place. I'm not like Alex. I don't have everything in front of me. It's all in front of me this way. So we'll go from there, and hopefully I do a good job. I'm not as detailed as Alex is, but I'm open.
We'll make through.
We'll make through. So we're going to start off with the first scene is John McClane and some random dude in an airplane landing on the tarmac in LAX. And you got this weirdo guy that's just staring at John while John's grasping onto the chair for dear life. And I'm the same way. I'm not going to lie. I know statistically if anything goes wrong, it's on takeoff or landing. So I'm white knuckling it every time on takeoff and every time on landing. And what does this stranger say to John?
What does he say? Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you because, we're watching the movie, we're reviewing it. What was the sentence that he said where he's like, what can make you feel better?
Well, I didn't think there was going to be a test, but...
You did the same thing to me.
He says to do fists in the carpet.
In the carpet with his shoes off and socks off.
Yeah.
What kind of ass says that to somebody? Like, how is it that random that he says something like that to some stranger?
What's worse is, okay, let's say taking your socks off and rubbing your feet in carpet works. You know what else works? The fact that I'm on carpet, I'm no longer on the plane.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I'm no longer on the plane.
Why would I still need to be doing this? Like, and we see later John does it and he's like, none of them.
Well, and that kind of, when we get to that part, that kind of answers our question during what we had before, right? So,
but like, really, like, how is that helping? All your flight nerves should be gone once you're at baggage claim.
Exactly. As soon as you are off of the plane and into the actual airport, all of it's gone. Yeah.
Strange. It was very strange.
So I got another thing. So he gets off the plane. He goes into where you're supposed to pick up your luggage. Did he not have luggage?
I don't think so.
I didn't see him grab anything other than his carry-on that was on the plane and the teddy bear.
He's not planning on staying, right? He lives in New York. He's only visiting his wife for, like, he wasn't even planning on staying at the house, apparently.
I guess that's true, yeah.
She had to get the spare room ready for him.
Yeah, exactly.
So he was probably flying in with that giant stuffed animal, doing the party, seeing the kids, and then leaving.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
What I did notice, though, the plane itself. Oh, man, those seats were huge. The spacing was huge. And he wasn't in first class. You can tell it was coach.
He was coach, yeah.
I was very, very jealous.
The chairs are not like this in front of your face with the little screen there. Yeah, you're right. There's so much more space. And smoking on the plane.
Right, of course.
The ashtray right on the handrest, like the smoking on the plane. That was another one. So
before we get too far in, there's a couple things that I want to talk about the movie itself.
Okay.
Did you know that this part was originally, they had asked Frank Sinatra
to play what? The stranger?
John McClane.
What? No, I did not.
Okay, so I did some digging. So apparently Die Hard was adapted from a 1979 novel. It's called Nothing Lasts Forever.
Okay.
It was a follow-up to a book from the late 60s called The Detective. And then that book was adapted into a movie in 68, which starred Frank Sinatra. So because of all of this, it was in Sinatra's contract. They were obligated to ask him first since he was in the original. And, they asked him, and his quote was, "I'm too old and too rich."
Well,
So they passed on him and they went with Bruce Willis, who
Which-
at the time was really a nobody.
yes, that's true.
I looked at his credits. So his first 3 acting credits, he was listed as an extra in these things. It wasn't even named. Okay. And then his next or 3 after that were music videos.
Which
Then he had
music
some
videos?
I didn't even look. I didn't recognize the groups. But the rest before this were TV shows, but comedy shows. He wasn't an action guy.
Really?
Was his very first dive into action.
And look what it led to him. He was one of the top action movie actors.
And he's the everyday guy, right?
Yeah.
He's the you, he's me.
Yeah.
We're not Stallone, we're not Schwarzenegger, we're not
No.
Chuck Norris or
No.
Van Damme.
No.
We're Bruce Willis. We hate this shit.
Yeah.
We have no
exactly.
clue what we're doing. And we're just
We're-
hoping we don't die.
We're winging it and hoping we don't die. Exactly.
That was I found that very interesting. So I
That
wanted
is-
to bring that up before we
That's
got
very
too far in.
interesting. I did not know that.
Did you look into any of who the other actors are?
No.
Besides Bruce Willis and
The only
Alan
one that obviously is the Alan Rickman and Carl from Family Matters, or not Carl,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah,
Those are the
yeah.
only 2 that really. I
Al
remember.
Powell. Yeah,
The other ones all reminded me of Dolph Lundgren from the Rocky IV movie. They're all
right.
blonde hair,
Big
blue-eyed,
Russian,
big
Swedish,
Russian
or-
dudes.
yeah.
Even though they're probably German, because I'm pretty sure they were
Nope.
German. Oh, they
So
were
in
Russian.
the movie they're German, but I looked; they weren't all German.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
So
No,
okay,
they
yeah.
weren't.
I'm like, there's only 3 characters that I know. It was Bruce Willis, Rickman, and Carl. That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody else. I don't know any
Well,
of the other ones.
But you would recognize them. So let me tell you about at least 3.
Okay.
Okay. So one henchman, his name is Uli. We only see him a couple times,
Okay.
but he's like the Mongolian guy who's got the handlebar
Oh
mustache.
yes.
and
The
long
one
hair.
that's behind the candy stand and he grabs the candy. Yeah.
Yeah. He was Genghis Khan in Bill and Ted
Okay.
when they traveled back and they brought him to the mall and everything. That was
Okay,
him.
yeah.
The henchman James, who died in 2004, he was Vigo, the Scourge of Carpathia in Ghostbusters
From
2.
Ghostbusters. Yep.
I never realized that until I did digging this time. But in the movie, he's the guy that helps set up the rocket launcher. And he
Right.
ends up dropping a box and stuff. The third was Betty Carvalho. She's the maid or the nanny that Holly calls in the beginning.
Okay.
She's the old lady from Three Amigos.
Oh my God, how long has it been since I've seen that one?
The Three Amigos was great.
Oh my God.
She's the main old lady who it's her daughter who El Guapo kidnaps.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
That's we need to watch that one too.
Yeah, we'll add that to our list.
I haven't seen that in forever. Oh my God, that was great.
Okay, carry on.
All right. So he gets off the plane. We figure he doesn't grab any luggage. And then you see a sign that says J.M. McClane. And it's the limo driver. Greenest limo driver I've ever seen in my life. He literally has no idea what he's doing. He basically says, I was hoping you could tell me what I need to do next. So it's like, what the hell? Who are you sending this guy to drive him to the actual Christmas party? Who is this? You're a multi-million-dollar organization that sends a limo driver to pick him up, and you send some random guy. Mind you, he was comedic relief. It was good to have him in there for the short time that he was. But again, a multi-million-dollar organization buys some random guy off the street just to pick him up in a limousine. And then instead of sitting in the back of the limo, he's sitting in the
Right.
Bruce Willis is sitting in the front seat with the bear in the back.
Just to show us again that, hey, I'm just an average guy. I'm
Average
no
guy.
one special. I'm going to sit in the front with the common folk because I'm not limousine people.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
was cool. You know, I get it.
So Argyle and him are starting talking. He's telling him, so what are you doing here? He tells him, I'm here to see my wife. And he gives him the spiel of, his wife got a career and I stayed back in New York to be a cop. And Argyle, blunt, straightforward. So you didn't have the kahunas to go with her because she was successful. You thought that she would come back. You basically doubted her. Like, he called him out right then and there. That was great.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So he drops him off and basically tells him, so if you get lucky, call me, let me know. If you don't, I have a place that you can hang out. Right? So cool guy parks his car in the parking lot while John's going into the big giant building. As this is happening, you see a Mercedes and a big giant truck rolling side by side, and then they park into the basement of the actual building itself. So they give you the foreshadowing that terrorists are already on site. Something's happening.
John, there's something suspicious about that truck, right?
Exactly. Like, something suspicious about that truck. John's in the building and he's looking up his wife on the computer and he puts in McClane. And guess what? Nothing pops up. But he puts his wife's maiden name, Gennaro. I didn't realize too that his wife was Italian. Now that I see that his wife was Italian, I was like, what the hell? How did I not pick that out? The one Italian and I'm not picking that out of the whole movie?
Have you seen the deleted scene for that part?
No, I didn't.
Okay. It's horrible. He goes in, he's playing with the thing, he's trying to type, it's not working. He's trying to click back to go and look under G's now. Yeah. And it won't go back. It continues to search M's and he's looking up at the guy and he's clicking and click, click, click. Like you can see he's getting frustrated with the damn thing. And it's honestly, for what we got 10 seconds of that screen. It was like a minute of the screen.
Yeah.
Before they cut it down. I was like,
I kind of noticed too when he was pressing like the M, the C, like there was a lag in the actual him pressing every button, the
buttons, yeah,
while he was doing it. So that makes sense. It was probably like a 15-20 minute take.
What I also find funny about that scene is, so yeah, he comes up to the guy, the desk guy who should know everything.
Yep.
Looking for Holly McClane. That's when he sends him to the machine, right?
To the machine.
Look her up. He looks her up. John says, 30th floor. And the guy says, 30th floor, yep, they're the only ones here.
Why did you tell him to freaking check the screen then?
Why did I have to go through this? Why did I have to look through? Couldn't you just say, oh, are you here for the Christmas party? 30th floor.
30th floor. Yeah, exactly. And then that other guy at the elevators too, that was just like grumpy as shit, just staring at him. Like, it was so dumb. So dumb.
Yeah. But let's talk about, so he obviously goes upstairs.
Yeah.
That office was amazing.
Right? There's a fountain in there, waterfalls, there's snow everywhere. It was,
I get, like, because we see Takagi's office and there's like a bridge and there's like a plant that's all modeled out. And so, okay, they're into some stuff that makes them a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But Takagi must be dirty.
Has to be dirty. Well, you think about it. So he's got to be dirty. No, two things. So the part that we're getting to next is John sees his wife in the party, right? Or not, doesn't see his wife, sees Takagi in the party, and Takagi brings him to his wife's office. And as he's walking to the office, the guy that his wife is maybe having an affair with, we don't know, is doing a line of coke right on her desk in there. And Takagi sees him and doesn't say anything, just basically like tells him to like, hey, this is John McClane. This is, Gennaro's husband, blah, 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 blah. Like nothing happened. Like as a boss, you see somebody doing that. Even if it was back then, you would call him out on it.
Yeah, right? Well, maybe Ellis, the guy doing the coke, was just that big of a deal. Like his persona, he's a hotshot, $1 million deals before breakfast, blah, blah, blah. Maybe the boss is just like, whatever. I let him do whatever he wants. He's making me a
That's true too. That is true too. Right? So you get to that.
You mentioned her office. We notice her office is used so much, right? He's in there. Later, a couple shots later, a horny couple bursts in the door. They try to come in and they see John and Holly in there and they're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And then even later on, Hans uses it as a base of operations. Who is she?
Like, and that was another thing. Like, I don't recall, like I watched the movie again, obviously we rewatched it. what does she do?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does
Obviously,
what does
later
Naka-
on, she says, "You've put me in charge by killing my boss."
Yeah,
So
but like,
she's someone high up there, but man,
what
that's
does
a
the company
fancy
do?
office. Well, like you saw that model bridge, so maybe they're architectures.
But then why is
Ugh,
Ellis a
architects.
salesperson?
I
Like,
don't
what
know.
is he selling?
But
Right? It gets
like,
sketchier and sketchier as you rewatch it because it's like they have millions of dollars that obviously Hans is trying to steal, right?
right
That's the
in
whole
the
premise
vault,
of
not in a bank.
not in the bank. That's the whole premise of the movie type of thing, right? So what are they doing or investing in that they have $600 million in this vault?
Right. And Takagi mentions that a bunch of the floors are still under construction. So
Right.
he's still throwing money in to this building.
Exactly.
Is he laundering money through the construction?
Right?
I don't know.
So the more you watch it, the more it's like, is this all sketchy? This whole business is sketchy? Is this why Hans is robbing him? Right? So that's when we get to this point basically now is that, the party's going on, everybody's getting around, and all of a sudden you see John in the bathroom, no shoes on, socks off, and his feet are crinkling, fisting in the toes of the carpet. And what does he say? He says, "Damn, that guy was right." And then right away you hear gunshots. So this is where we answer our question from the last thing that we just posted last week, right?
Right.
Where we said, why did he not have his shoes? It's because he literally was rubbing his toes in the carpet and he heard the gunshot and he had to run and make an escape for himself to save everybody. But next scene. So, sorry, I got to get through my hostage situation. So Hans now has Takagi in a room where he's asking him about.
Okay, well, before you get to
Am I
that,
missing something? Did I miss something?
I find a very important part
Okay.
is where, because we still don't know who Hans really is. We don't know what kind of a criminal he is,
Right.
but he's trying to figure out who Takagi is, right? Now,
Right.
I was scoping the crowd. I wanted to see how many Asians there were at the
I
party.
think it was
There was 3 or 4. Yeah. Yeah. Now, John, when he came in, he went straight to this guy he didn't know. It was Takagi. He nailed it first try. Hans had no idea. He didn't attempt. Maybe he wasn't trying to racial profile anybody, which is why he did that rant, that huge speech where he's reading off of all of Takagi's resume.
right. Or the other thing too is like you said about John noticing him right away. So there's 2 things. He's a cop, so he could realize who Takagi is, but
Yeah.
just again, racial profiling at this point, but he has more skill on it, or he's seen him before because of his wife.
Maybe. Yeah.
But you're right. Hans is reading off the resume and he's legit looking at all the Asians in the building to
Now
see
watch-
which one it is.
Watching this and hearing him do that speech, trying to figure out which one of these guys is the guy I want
Right.
in a modern day. So he named off 5, 6, 7 things, credentials, education. It was 1988. This was pre-Google, right? He did his homework.
He totally did his homework. This
So-
is pre anything.
Yeah, he was prepared. He had a plan. He knew exactly what he was going to do here. And sure, he didn't know who Takagi was. They didn't have Facebook. He couldn't creep on him to see what he looked like.
This is true. This is also true.
So it was just great. It just showed how much this guy prepared for this.
Yeah.
That he knew his target so
But he
well.
was I'm moving forward in the actual movie.
That's fine.
He's a global terrorist. They already know, like they show it on like the newscast that Hans is a global terrorist. He's well educated, he's knowledgeable, so it doesn't surprise me that he did it. What surprises me though is that he had that info, especially now, like we have the technology to basically like I could just type in your name and I could find out everything about you in a matter
Right.
of 5 minutes. This guy doesn't have that resource at his power in 1988. So who does he have on the inside that's getting him that information?
Okay. Now you said something that I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
And I know in Back to the Future we had some disagreements, and then you threw that time stuff at me. I don't think you could do that this time.
Okay.
So you say he's a global terrorist and that the
Yep.
news was talking about. He's not. He even says to Takagi,
Yeah.
who says I'm a terrorist? He wanted the cops to think he was a terrorist. He wanted the news on that story because remember, he reads off that list. I want these people from Le Bloc Québécois
Yeah.
released from prison, and these people. Blah, blah. He was pretending. He was trying to divert their attention to something completely different. While
Right.
all he was a thief, a damn good thief.
A damn
Not
good
in
thief.
every, like later on again, jumping forward, Holly even says, "You're just a thief," and he gets all pissed off because he's offended. No, he's a damn good thief. So yeah, that terrorist thing was all just part of
Just
the
a
plan,
ploy.
part of the mask. So they weren't aware that it was a heist that he was doing.
Yeah, no, I don't think, again, the movie states that nobody's aware that it's a heist until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. In the meantime, he's interrogating, now we'll get back to this, he's interrogating Takagi for the vault codes, and Takagi's refusing to give him the vault codes. Now, we had this conversation again in our last video about, like, you know, Takagi, or Hans was a nice guy, you know, he gave the pregnant lady a couch and, you know, all this other stuff, and we didn't know if he had killed anybody. Well, lo and behold, that was the one guy that he actually killed, was Takagi. He shot him square in the head without getting any codes, which was mind-blowing.
Which shows Hans, again, so he's super intelligent, but he's also willing to get his hands dirty.
Yeah.
He's not one of those bosses that just says, you kill him. He's willing to do the jobs. There's a couple things that I just thought of that we already skipped past. So if you don't mind, let me jump back.
We can jump back. I told you, my notes are not going to be as detailed as yours.
No, that's fine. Okay, so let's go back to when that the cube truck arrives.
Right.
With the guys in it. Okay, so there's about 10 guys in the back of the truck.
Right.
Because there was one driving, two guys in the Mercedes.
Yes.
There was a cut done by the director. So when they open up the truck door, we were supposed to get a shot of the guys all, you know, like slow motion jumping out.
Right.
And they were all going to be syncing up their watches right there at the back of the truck.
Okay.
Those watches, all of them, and we don't see this really, all of them are wearing the matching watches. So every one of the crew has a matching watch. So the problem is when they shot that, they didn't have the ambulance in the truck.
Right, the one that was at the end of the movie.
They caught it before release, and the director's like, oh, you know, continuity issue, right? So
Yeah.
he ended up cutting out that scene where they climb out of the truck, look at their watches, because the watches were supposed to play a bigger role through the movie.
Right.
John starts being able to ID them by watches.
Right.
Yeah, so much. And they cut it just because they forgot to shoot it with the ambulance already in the truck.
That would have been a huge continuity error in that movie if they had left it in there.
The other cool thing, when it was a Mercedes, right, that pulled up at the front, and the two guys come out. It's Carl, the long-haired blonde guy, and Theo,
right,
the tech guy. And, you know, he comes out so natural. He's talking about sports and, you know, I don't sport, so whatever. I couldn't follow along, but it sounded real. And then Carl just pulls out his gun and he shoots that desk guy.
Exactly.
Which
Straight
was
in the
like,
head.
wow, that was bold. Okay, cool. That these guys mean business. They're ready to go. And then he sneaks up to that second guy by the elevator and throws a flashbang. Distracts.
You know, when I first saw that, I thought it was a hockey puck.
Right. You're so Canadian. So why? He just deliberately pulled the gun out, shot that guy, but the guy around the corner, he can't just peek around the corner and...
But hold on a second. Another issue. The guy around the corner is literally what? 60, 70 feet away?
Yeah, I don't know.
How did they not hear? Like, I get it that there was a silencer on the gun. I do. But the silencer still makes enough noise that you'd hear it.
I don't know. I just thought the flashbang was unnecessary.
Overkill?
Yeah, a little bit.
I agree. I totally agree.
And then, so where you left off, Takagi getting shot. Okay, so before that too was the scene where the guy is splicing the wires, like he's daisy chaining around, right? And then, so in the movie, they're brothers, right?
Yeah.
So it just makes so much sense that that's a brother relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
you got the one guy that
hurry up
and collected. But the thing is like, I don't understand. Like, I'm an ex-telecom guy. So I'm looking at those wires and I'm like, those are not phone wires. Those are not telephone wires at all. Not at all. Maybe electrical of some sort, but not telephone wires.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah, well, so it was the phones and the video cameras,
And the
right?
video
I think
cameras.
is
Yeah.
all that was, because we also see Theo hits the power for all the cages, all the gates come down,
Yep.
everything.
And
The
turn off all
escalator
the
shuts off.
elevators, everything. Yeah, the escalators.
No, the
Why did-
elevator stayed on.
The elevator stayed. The only one elevator stayed on. The rest he disabled all of them.
Did he?
Yes.
Okay.
So he
I thought they
disabled
were all
of them
working because the one was working.
except for the one that was working. Where again, when the scene comes with the dead body, but
Yeah.
that one was active so that his crew, Hans's crew, could go to any floor that they wanted to, especially the roof and all that other stuff. Right?
Do you
So they
think
only
he
had
needed to shut
one.
off the escalators?
And that was the other
Do you
thing.
think-
I did
Do
see
you think
that.
SWAT would
And
come
I'm looking
running
at
up?
it, and I see the escalators stopping, and I'm like, "What the hell is that supposed to do? Like, is
Yeah.
it going to stop them from not going up
Right.
and down the stairs?"
SWAT's like, we've got a problem here. We're gonna have to go
Escalators are
around.
down.
Or one cop is already halfway up and it shuts off and he's, oh no, guys,
What do we
I'm
do?
stuck.
What do we do? We're stuck.
It didn't make sense, but whatever.
That does not
Okay.
make sense. See, I told you, you're going to be more detailed than I am. See, my notes are lacking compared to yours.
You're still taking the lead though.
I know. So
Another thing you missed. One of the pivotal, most important parts of this movie.
which one?
Okay. So John's peeking out the door, right? And he
Yeah.
sees them. He sees the terrorists now. They're starting to
Yep.
grab people from rooms and stuff.
Mhm.
And obviously, that's why he couldn't get his shoes on. He didn't
Yep.
have time to run back to the bathroom to get his shoes. He had to bolt to the stairs. But that's not the important part. The important part is the room next door. That was our first. He's boob shot in the movie, where the guys go in and they pull out that couple that was banging on the desk.
Right.
She comes out and she's got her shirt off.
Okay.
Yeah, typical 80s movie. You gotta have boobs. So
Okay.
ding, we could put a boob counter. and go one
Boob counter somewhere. Boob
Um,
counter.
So yeah, you can't forget that.
Well, I was getting to the McClane escapes up the stairs, so I did not miss that part of him escaping. I wasn't there yet.
No, because he's already when
No.
Takagi gets shot.
He
He's already
realizes at this point he's already escaped, but he's seen that after. It wasn't the full thing. Takagi was already being interrogated while they were getting everybody grouped up into the room. He hadn't left yet. At least
But I
that's what
thought-
unless I wrote my notes wrong.
I thought John was in the other room the whole time Takagi was getting interrogated.
He hears gunshots, reacts instantly, and he moves in stealth mode and grabs his service pistol, is what I have here.
Right, when he leaves Holly's room.
Yes.
Yeah, because those guys were all shooting in the air.
And this is after the Takagi's execution.
No.
I think I must have put it in the wrong order then. I totally
no,
wrote
Takagi
it
doesn't
wrong.
get shot like because he sees the terrorist, he runs up the
Right.
stairs, boob shot. Then they come and check. There's nobody in Holly's office.
I'm writing ticks now of every time you say boob shot.
And then the guys go back and they do their terrorist thing and he
Right.
goes upstairs. He tries to
Right.
find somewhere to position himself.
So I got that where he's upstairs now on the second floor and he's trying to figure out what he needs to do next and what's the first thing that he sees on the second floor. Pulls the fire alarm.
Okay,
And
yeah.
Doesn't realize he doesn't realize that there's other people that are taking control of the building at this time, right?
Right. Yeah, he has no clue.
So he has no concept that what he's doing is a failed attempt at trying to help everything.
Right.
But then puts him in worst case scenario because now they know he's on the 32nd floor of the building. So what do? They send the first brother, the smart one, the calm one, the one that's
Yeah.
pretending to cut the telephone wires, right? Sends him to go and get John, right? John and him are having a fight at this point, okay? Now, can I ask you a question? Have you ever fought the way that they fought? Because
No.
to me, that seemed very awkward and very weird. It didn't look like a typical fight. They were just flailing their arms around, hugging each other, pushing each other. And then when he fell down the stairs and the brother dies, how the hell did John not die? Because he got landed on by the Russian guy. Does that make
I
sense
don't
to
know.
you? They
Don't
fall
know.
down the stairs.
Movie magic.
The Russian breaks his neck, but John is still alive. And again, this is where we get a subtle hint where we were saying, why doesn't he wear shoes? And he tries the guy's shoes on. And he's like, out of all the guys that I got to kill the one with the tiniest feet,
Yeah.
right?
And then he never checks another person's shoes.
For the rest of the movie.
That's it. He's just made what I can't even remember what the word is, but he's come to grips
Yeah.
with it. He's not finding shoes.
The entire movie after that, it was he killed probably 10 guys before he got to the end of the movie, and not one of them he took their shoes other than the first guy. That was the only one he attempted to take their shoes.
So strange.
Even when we get to the part, even when he throws the body out onto Carl's car, you'd think he would have taken those shoes. Because that guy looked like his build and his size.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Would have been funny is if the final cut had a camera pan of the guy's shoes.
Yeah.
Like him laying on the car. And just in the corner, we see that it's a size 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and something like that.
Funny.
It would have been super funny.
That would have been funny.
But yeah, that scene is, I don't know how far we're jumping ahead from your notes, but talking about that scene when Carl comes smashing down and Carl just loses
his shit. Like legit loses his mind.
Back up now, God damn it now. It was just great. Like I love that line. It was great.
So then this is where the one scene that I don't know about you, but I love this scene is when he dresses up the brother in Santa Claus outfit, ties him to a chair, puts him in the elevator, and puts him downwards to the 30th floor, and it says, "Now I have a machine gun. Ho ho ho." To me was straight up like it was gangster for him to say something like that. Like to do anything like that, that was great.
Unfortunately, I don't own a single gray sweater. I was going to do that.
Right.
To go with my hat.
Right.
I was going to wear that, but I don't have a gray sweater. I was like, damn it.
Yeah. So that one was good. And then his brother obviously is losing doesn't know yet. So
doesn't know yet. They calm him down.
Doesn't know yet. But Hans basically says, we need to tell him, make sure he calms down. So we already know that the other guy is a hothead. We already know that it's foreshadowing the fact that he wants blood, he wants vengeance at this point because it's his brother that John killed. So John steals a radio from the guy and he can hear everything that's going on, and he goes to the roof of the building, and what does he do? He tries and calls the police station on a secure frequency. Now, this kind of pissed me off. Really pissed me off because if anything, he's the only one that knows, like police officers and obviously criminals are the only ones that know about these emergency broadcast radio frequencies, okay? So if John is calling for help on this emergency frequency and they think it's a joke, are they stupid? Is this why the LAPD is dumb? Is this why like people don't like the LAPD? It's because they are stupid. Like it's legit something that only specific people know how to access, and you're saying that it's fake. That drove me absolutely crazy.
Well, I think they were trying to push the hero as a New York cop. So let's do that New York LA rivalry thing. And let's really make the LA Police Department look incompetent, which throughout the movie, they 100% do. Besides Powell, who is actually trying to help and talk to John. The captain's a douche. The feds are douches. Like, they're all so bad.
God, the feds. So now...
And the SWAT team.
And the SWAT team, we get there.
There's a deleted scene when the SWAT are heading in to try to get through the one door. They go through a rose bush and they're like, ow! And they're all getting pricked by thorns.
I don't know where you watched it, but when I watched it on the Disney Plus one, there was a scene when they were going through the bush and the guy was like touching the bush and he's like, ow. So I don't know if you saw that on the version that you saw, but that's what I saw.
No, I didn't see that, but I saw the deleted scene. But it was all 6 of them. They were all like, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was this one guy that's walking through the bush and you can see the white roses and he touches it and he's like, oh. So yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So now this is where we get the fire department, police are all coming to the building. Yeah. They're all getting ready to do something. John's watching out the window and he's like, yes, come on. And the front deskman security guard calls them and says, it's a false alarm. We've been having issues. So this is the first state of disappointment. And also John realizing that he has to do this on his own throughout this movie. So that's his first iteration, that it's all him, only him. He has nobody to help him and back him up at this time.
The fire truck thing, though, was before he got on the radio with 911, though, right?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. So my notes are
right. Because he fire alarmed, then he killed Carl's brother.
Right.
Got the radio. Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. My notes are horrible.
Just the radio call to 911, you talked about it.
Yeah.
I love when she was like, sir, if you don't stop, I'm gonna have to report this as an FCC violation.
Then
And he's like,
report me and
"Do it!"
come and arrest me. Just send me some police officers.
And this is while he was on the roof, and Han is like, where can you get the best reception? The roof. And he sends his guys up. Like, seriously? Is it that bad? Like, I don't remember 88 very well. I didn't have one of those walkie-talkies.
We had walkie-talkies, but the best that they could do is room to room. That was it.
Yeah. So, wow, you really have to be like a cop down on the street. He's got to find a roof to use that damn thing. Like,
Apparently. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And
one thing I noticed, and we've already mentioned, John is so bad at this.
Yep.
He has no idea what he's doing. We don't even know what kind of a cop he is in New York, but this is very out of his element, we can tell.
It's out of his element, but it also displays a lot of his characteristics. So if he's like this throughout this movie, I'm going to say he's like this in New York.
Right. Yeah. But like a real shoot 'em up, go in there through vents and stuff. Like, he's not that kind of cop. He's more of a detective who shows up when the crime scene has been taped off, I think.
Right.
Yeah, he's obviously way out of his element. Like, on the roof after Han sends the guys up, he's got that machine gun now and he's shooting, but if you notice, it's pointing downwards.
Yep.
As he's running away from the guys. Dude, they're that way. You're pointing down.
Way.
You're not going to hit anybody on that.
A little bit higher up this way. They're not even level. They're upward.
Yeah. It's like, wow, this is
so as he's on the roof and he calls the cops, they do now a foreshadow of Carl in the gas station at this point. And what is he buying? He's buying like 20 or 30 freaking packages of Twinkies. And the cashier is like, that's I thought you guys only ate donuts. And then, Carl's a big guy, so he basically says that they're for his pregnant wife, and the register guy's like, sure it is, she's pregnant. Yeah. Just bag it for me.
Now, granted, I don't wear mine all the time, but he wasn't wearing a wedding ring either.
Nope. No, he was not.
So
I did notice that.
With Sergeant Powell's obsession with Twinkies, do you want to hear the theory that connects him to Family Matters?
I do, because you brought it up in the other segment that we did, and I really want to hear how this is.
So this is right off of cracked.com, so I'll give them a shout out. Somebody came up with this. I didn't see who did. Okay, so this theory, Al Powell starts off as a mild-mannered cop working in New York in 1984. One day, he's tasked with escorting 4 scientists to the mayor's office. Those 4 scientists, the Ghostbusters, because he was also in the Ghostbuster movie.
Okay.
Al himself states, the whole island's going crazy. That's your, no shit, Sherlock assessment of what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's safe to assume Powell heard Egon talk about his Twinkie theory, right? Okay. Egon explains, imagine a Twinkie, the size of blah, 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 right? So Powell's heard the Twinkie talk. So obviously there's a whole lot of crap going on in New York with all the ghosts and stuff. And of course, you never believe it unless you were in New York at that time, where the walls were bleeding and the dead are routinely covering people in ghost snot. Al Powell would have no reason not to believe what these 4 men summoned by the mayor himself were saying, again, about the Twinkie.
Okay.
If we know anything else about Powell, we know he's a talkative man.
Yep.
It's a key aspect of his character here in Die Hard. So he probably would have chatted with the Ghostbusters and got their side of what was happening, including the layman's explanation Egon already offered earlier in the film. By the way, I'm reading this verbatim from what the guy wrote. Thus begins Powell's long and deranged obsession with the Twinkie. The Twinkie that, over time, comes to represent evil and badness in his mind. The Twinkie is where horror comes from. The Twinkie must be contained. Since Al Powell is already at the mayor's office when the Ghostbusters say they need to an escort to Central Park, he would also be at the scene when Gozer comes back in the form of the 100-foot tall Marshmallow Man.
Okay.
So in the span of a day, Powell has come to learn definitively that there is an afterlife, and it's not necessarily a pleasant one. And also that demonic, trans-dimensional gymnasts could at any moment cross into our reality and kill us all in the most comical way, like Dan Aykroyd could think of. The Marshmallow Man.
Okay.
This is more than just a simple beat officer meant to be able to deal with this. So Powell moves to LA and he starts to eat a lot of Twinkies. Powell has a mental breakdown after he left New York. The stress of a normal job is too high. Having a Marshmallow Man is too high. He moves to LA where he develops a deeply psychological need to devour Twinkies as much as possible, ensuring that they can never grow big and threaten mankind again. When we first meet Powell in Die Hard, he's buying the Twinkies. Not just a 2-pack like a normal person. He hates himself, but as many as he can carry, which he tries to brush off, like he said, but telling the clerk about his pregnant wife. Later in the film, he demonstrates an encyclopedic knowledge of the ingredients of a Twinkie when he rattles them off. McClane makes an offhanded remark, wondering what's in them, and this demonstrates Powell his intimacy and familiarity with Twinkies. He's memorized the list of ingredients. How many Twinkies would a man need to eat before he managed to memorize all the ingredients right down to the polysorbate 60?
And the yellow number 5 or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, I remember.
And then furthermore to his obsession with Twinkies, we see him in Die Hard 2. He's sitting at a desk festooned with Twinkies as he takes a call from McClane.
Yep.
Okay. So in his mind, the Twinkie connection and also the obvious junk food connection of New York being attacked by a food mascot is cause for paranormal destruction. He is unconsciously trying to prevent it by eating as many as he can. So shaken, Powell is, by his experience in New York, he ends up shooting a child in the line of duty, an event that further damages his psyche and gets him put onto desk duty, which we see later in number 2. Or no, he's on desk duty now in part 1 too.
He was
on
on desk duty right now in part 1, yeah. He was only doing, I think he was just doing beat work for that one day because it was Christmas Eve.
Right. So not only does Powell tell the clerk at the store he's got a pregnant wife, he tells the same thing to McClane. Notice you can clearly see Powell's hand in the video as he takes the bag, puts in the change into charity container. He's got no wedding ring on. Later, when a deputy police chief, Dwayne T. Robinson, is trying to get Powell off the scene, Powell claims you couldn't drag him away. So doesn't a man with a wife and a child on the way have more to lose? Wouldn't the deputy chief of police know this? So until now, Al Powell seems to keep it all together as well as can be expected, considering the circumstances. But the fabric of his reality comes crashing down with one single event set into motion, incidentally, by a character played by William Atherton, the actor who plays Dickless EPA agent responsible for the near destruction of New York City. So apparently, Peck was in this movie as well. I don't remember. Oh, he's the reporter.
Yes.
Yes, right. Okay. He puts the entire Nakatomi Tower and everyone involved at risk. Man, this explanation is so long. It's in his presence that cues Powell's breakdown. In this second case, it's manifested in the shooting of Carl, the bad guy from Die Hard. Remember, at the time he shoots Carl, he is already traumatized from his past incident of shooting an innocent kid.
Right.
Being forced to use his gun again makes him snap. Unable to find peace on either coast now, Sergeant Al Powell recedes deeper into his own mind and creates a safe place in between two tragic events. He finds himself as a family man in Chicago now, still a cop, but one where his duties never interfere with a solid, loving home, and not just a pregnant wife either. Here he has a wife, 3 kids, a sister-in-law, and his mother all living in the house surrounding him to give him support whenever and for whatever he needs. He's a family man dealing with family matters. He's not Al Powell. In his mind, he's Carl Winslow, a man never attacked by terrorists or spirits of the undead. Powell's overwhelming guilt at having shot yet another person, Carl, and the implications of what it means for his victim in the afterlife, because he's going to come back as a ghost now, causes Powell to become a new Carl. It's all in his own mind. Someone who can live out a peaceful, happy life. So in this fantasy life, everything goes pretty well for a while. His experiences, the typicals up, down of a sitcom family. His mom moves in, his wife loses her job. Typical stuff.
That is absolutely wild.
It's just, God, wait.
Oh, it gets worse?
Everything works out for him overall until his hidden guilt comes looking for him in the form of a 13-year-old boy named Steve Urkel.
Oh my God.
Urkel has no appeal whatsoever. He's abrasive, he's annoying, his voice is jarring, and he inexplicitly drags Carl Winslow along a series of more and more preposterous events as the series progresses. But why? Because Urkel is a manifestation of Al Powell's guilt, his own personal devil. Urkel is the boy Powell shot. He's come back in a most obnoxious form possible and completely impossible to get rid of now. He haunts Carl because he's literally an angry spirit, which we already know is possible because this is the same universe as Ghostbusters. Mentally traumatized, Carl internalizes the haunting and is unable to distinguish reality from fantasy, thus giving Urkel, the spirit, total control over his life, despite his own ability to always enrage and frustrate Carl. And we see that as the series moves on because Urkel moves into the Winslow house eventually. In the real world, wouldn't any adult, let alone a peace officer, have the know-how to put his foot down and stop a bothersome pest like Urkel? Of course, but Carl is powerless. As each horrible torture befalls Carl and his family, his tormentor cries, "Did I do that?" Only to serve and mock Carl/Al even more. Because Carl/Al did do that. He did shoot the boy. And then he shot Carl after trying to find a place where he would never need to fire his gun again. Knowing the horrors of the potential afterlife that his victims could be going to, Steve's cries are Carl's cries. The "did I do that? Yes, you did. You done that. You effed up." His guilt is exploited by the poltergeist Urkel, which takes more and more control over his fantasy life. First, his youngest daughter disappears without a trace as the character is retconned from the series and never mentioned again. Then, his mother and sister-in-law and her child are forced out of the house. It's all if as an emotional support in his fantasy world was being stripped away. Even his eldest daughter, long unwilling to be the object of Steve Urkel's affections, eventually softens up and winds up getting engaged to him. It bores so much into his mind.
That is absolutely wild.
Wow.
But after you read that, a lot of it makes sense. And it's, if somebody could act, like, I get it, this is like a fan theory, it's not reality. But if somebody could actually validate this, that would be absolutely wild.
It's
absolutely
so
wild.
Much. It really is so much, but it is so cool that I am going with it.
It's cool that somebody actually came up with that and like they've dotted their I's and crossed their T's to link it all together as one whole unit. That is wild. Oh my God. Especially the Steve Urkel part. 13-year-old boy, basically he's being haunted for the rest of his life by a 13-year-old demonic child because he was freaking demonic. He was annoying as hell. But wow. That was good. That was really good.
Let's get back to you now.
Shout out to whoever wrote that. That was great. That was great.
Okay, where did we leave off?
So we left off on him getting the Twinkies, and then, the basically dispatch is calling him saying, can you go and take a look at the building to see what's going on because we're getting a complaint. Now, he walks out of the gas station and he's walking into the middle of the gas station parking lot and he stares right at the building, okay? Now, I'm no gun scientist. I'm no anything like that, but they're shooting at each other at the roof of the building, okay? And if I could see that building and it's that high, one, I'd be able to hear the banging from miles away because of the distance and the height of the building. Number two, with the amount of flashing and banging that's going on from the guns, wouldn't you think that he would see that going off in different spots of the actual building on the roof itself as he's staring at it when they're calling him to let him go look at it?
Somebody has a birthday cake with sparklers.
On the roof?
Yeah,
in 9 different spots of the roof?
It's a big part.
That's what I don't understand. It's like I'm looking at that, like there's so many things in the movie that I'm looking at now and that I'm watching and I'm like, this should have been like the cop should have been there earlier.
Right.
Basically. Right. So he makes his drive there to the building himself and John is looking, basically he escapes the three thugs from the roof and he's somewhere in the building and he's looking out the window and he could see Carl driving around and he's like, who's driving that cop car? Stevie Wonder? And I was dying because I was looking and I'm like, he's doing a figure eight, but he's doing it like inside figure eight. And I thought he was going to hit the planter. And it's like, nope, he didn't hit nothing. So this time, he's staring out the window and now you got three guys that are going after John while this is happening. Carl goes in. He talks to the main front desk security guy nonchalantly. He is on the payroll of the terrorist group, which we already know isn't a terrorist group, but I'm going to call him that for right now. And he's basically telling him he can go look around. Carl's walking down the hallway towards the elevators, and there's a guy behind there with a gun. If only he had walked 4 more feet, he would have been dead probably because he would have gotten shot, but he would have seen that there was an actual issue going on, right? So I get it. It was for the movie. He walks out. McClane is fighting all these guys again, kills them all. Again, not grabbing any of their shoes because I'm sure one of them had his size at this point, and he sees that Carl is now driving away and he's yelling. And what do we see? We see one of the dead guys basically right on Carl's car, and the most epic scene in the movie is him driving backwards for a solid 5 minutes of the movie saying, somebody get me back up right now. God damn it. I need it right now. And he lands off of the bridge. Like, I don't know where he got his license from, but he's a terrible driver. Absolutely horrible.
He was getting shot at, so
he was getting shot at, but like for 5 solid minutes, he's driving backwards and he's like not looking anywhere. Is he looking just straight ahead? Like he has no idea where the hell he's going.
So funny.
So now they are basically at the point where cops are coming. Yep. Hans is now going on to plan basically part 2 of his plan because we're in the midst of the vault being broken into. There's 7 items that need to be broken before they can get into the vault. At this point, they're only at number 3. They've gotten rid of 3 items in the actual vault security system itself to gain access to the vault. So what happens? Everybody starts coming. Cops come. SWAT team comes. And this is where we were talking about earlier. SWAT comes in, goes through the rose bushes, and they're hurting themselves, and they try to get in through the front door. And this is where your character that you were talking about, the Asian man with the with the mustache, comes in. He goes straight to the candy area.
Right. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Puts his guns, his ammo, and everything in clip there. The other guys are getting ready to, attack the SWAT team that's coming to the door. What does he do? He sticks his hand into the candies and he's grabbing the candy so he can eat it. It's like, come on, man. Like, what the hell?
So good.
So the one thing that really irked me about the SWAT team is when the guy was trying to jimmy the door with the lockpicks and stuff like that. Like, he's trying so hard, but he's not doing it the right way. Not that I know how to do it. I'm not saying that I know how to do it, but he's basically using 2 picks going this way. He's not using a pick going to like, he's literally using like a lockpick, and he's not using the scraper portion. He's using 2 turners. He's not using a scraper. And I'm like, what are they doing? This is so wrong. And then where the hell did the freaking welder thing come from? I didn't even see them bring it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't notice that.
It's like there's 4 guys coming in there. They all have just their guns on them. Where did the welder come from? Where did it come from? Did they pull it out of a bush? Did somebody put it there before? Right? So I didn't get it. And then Hans, this is where we see Hans. Also, again, he's a bad guy, but a good guy. He's like, I don't want them dead. I just want them injured. Right. So he has a heart, but really he just wants the money. He doesn't want anybody to actually die.
Right. Because they will hunt him harder if he's a cop killer. Yeah. So he's smart. He knows.
So then the SWAT brings in the car, or what was it called? The tank. What did they call it again? I can't remember.
Jeez. No, it was an RV.
An RV. Bring in the RV. And it was this like sawed off tank. Like the whole top was gone. Like the actual gun portion of the tank was gone. I'm like, what the frick is this thing? It's like the most ugliest RV ever. It's like a Cybertruck, but back in the 1988.
Yeah. Yeah. This was another sign that Hans knew exactly what the cops would do. He had their playbook. That's why he brought the rocket launcher. Yep. They just had to figure out what side the tank was going to be on to go set it up on.
So that IT guy that Hans had, he was ready. He had all the cameras going. He had them all in in his laptop and everything and or computer, and he tells them they're coming in on the east side. So 2 of Hans's guys grabs the rocket launchers, sets everything up. Now again, I've seen one of those guns that shoot nails into the ground. I've never seen one with a trigger before. Have you?
Yeah, Home
Have
Depot
you?
sells them.
I thought that was cool. I was like, where did he get that thing? I'm like, I could have used that years ago when I was doing my baseball.
Yeah, I only have the one where you have to hammer
Hammer
to
it?
hit the bullet, but they
Yeah.
have a gun one now.
I'm like, that was so sweet. But is that thing going to be good enough for a rocket launcher? That's my question at this point. Is it going to go into the concrete enough for the rocket launcher to not fly away as it's being shot?
Don't know.
No? Okay.
I have
Okay.
no vote.
No vote? No vote on this one?
I have nothing. No.
So he shoots the first missile, explodes the RV, and then Han says to do it again. And this is where you see McClane now think in his head that he's screwed up, and he tells Hans, you made your point, you don't have to do this again. And he's like, that's right, I don't have to do it again, but I'm going to. So now he's making McClane see that he's screwed up. And this is where McClane is at this point is second guessing everything that he's done up to this point. And you could see it in his face. You could see it in the next scenes that he's pulled back a little bit. Not too much, but enough where he's pulled back enough to see everything around him, what's going on. He's now educating himself of what his next step is going to be going forward. Right. I scrolled on my mouse and now I don't know where I went. SWAT team assault. Okay. SWAT attempts to enter the building. So this is where now Hans is looking for the detonators and he's going around the building, and then who does he bump into and stumble upon? He stumbles upon John. And this always creeps me out with actors, especially British actors, where they have the British accent, but then they can speak without the British accent. And Hans does this like right off the bat. Has the American accent with perfect enunciation and everything for him and John to have the conversation of, he thinks he's in trouble and that John is the bad guy. He's pretending to fake cry. He's having the full-on conversation with them. And then they cut to the scene where they're both standing up and John has a cigarette and says, do you smoke? And at this point, again, I've watched the movie. You've watched the movie. We already know he's testing out Hans to see what's going on. And he asks him, he says, my name's John McClane. What's your name? And he says something that isn't on the name board that Hans is standing right next to. And
No, it is. It is.
No, you're right. Clay is on there, but Billy Clay is not.
Willie. It was
Billy.
Yeah, but the name is you Clay. So you assume it's William. Billy is short for William.
Is it?
Yes, of course it is. What's the matter with you?
Since when?
Oh my God, since ever.
I didn't know Billy was short for William.
Surprise, Bob is short for Robert.
That I know.
Okay, yeah, Billy is short for William.
I had no idea.
Billy the Kid, his name was William.
This is news to me because I did not know this at all.
Okay, so you were watching the movie wrong then because you were
totally watched the movie wrong because
gotcha.
I thought that John knew at that point that he was lying and that's why he gave him a gun with no bullets in it.
No, that's how smart Han was. I keep saying Han.
You watch too much
Star
Frozen.
Wars stuff. Frozen. That shows how smart he is because he studied the employee list. He knew a name to use. And he even, instead of saying William, we're buddies now. Hey, call me Billy.
I'm not going to lie. I did not know Billy was another way of saying William. This is a first for me.
Before you continue with the cigarette, with this scene where they're smoking, you didn't talk about when Ellis goes in to try to bargain with him, with Hans.
Oh, did I miss that part?
I don't know if you had anything written down about that. I did.
No, I don't. I don't have anything about that in here.
Yeah, he goes in. He's a big shot, right? What I freaking love is we don't see the whole communication, right? Because it's cutting to John. It cuts to Holly in the crowd. So we're not seeing everything they're talking about. But right off the bat, he comes to the door. He's like, hey, I got a proposition for you. Let's talk. And Carl was ready to pull his gun out. And Han's like,
no,
kind of like, let's see what this idiot wants, right? They start negotiating. And then Carl comes over and brings him a Coca-Cola, pours him a cup, and he kind of nods. Now, in my head, at some point, maybe in a deleted scene, Hans says, can I get you anything? And Ellis says, I'd love some Coke. And they bring him Coca-Cola because who would think he wanted to snort right now?
He wanted to snort at that point. The one part I did like about that was when he's like, Bubby, Booby, let's do this.
You know, he was a dipshit. He really was.
He was a
super
dipshit.
annoying, but at least he didn't blow Holly's cover.
Yeah. And
At
that's
least
what, obviously,
stand
first
up.
time watching the movie, that's what everybody is thinking, that he's going to narc on Holly. But
Yeah.
in reality, he wasn't that much of an ass. And he basically said that he was John's best friend.
Right.
So,
But yeah, okay. We'll go back to the chat they're having. Do you have anything else about that scene?
that was the only thing that I saw, was that it was
Okay.
the wrong name. And then he hands him an empty gun. And then now you just
me blow your
ruined my
mind.
whole gears at this point. I have no idea. My notes are all off at this point.
Let me blow your mind here then.
Okay.
So again, you know, stuff that I noticed, stuff that I did research. So a lot of people think that John actually implemented 3 tests
Yeah.
in that scene. So you're saying the name one, right? So there's the name test. Another one is the cigarettes themselves. He stole that from one of the Eurotrash guys he's already killed.
Right.
So I didn't see the brand, but chances are it's a European brand.
Okay.
They're harsher than American cigarettes. So your typical American who maybe smokes, you know, a DeMaurier or something,